Okay, great. It looks like most of you guys are all on. So once again, hello everybody, and welcome to round two of our winter workshop. My name is Wichai. I'm an account manager here at Mortgage Coach. I have 18 years in the mortgage industry, from being a processor to an underwriter and also being a loan officer. So I know as mortgage professionals, it's our goal to effectively communicate finance options to our borrowers and realtor partners alike. So today we're going to show you with Mortgage Coach how you can accomplish being able to communicate your advice on a platform. So just keep in mind here at Mortgage Coach, we really pride ourselves in really helping you guys communicate your advice, maximize your exposure, and ultimately providing world-class service. So that being said, I really want to show you a total cost analysis. This is what we are going to deliver to our clients, and I'm going to talk about how to use Edge Live. But really quick, just to recap from our earlier session, in session one we covered purchase transactions, how to create a total cost analysis showing multiple down payments. We covered FHA, conventional, construction loans, 203K loans, and we also talked about the MCC tax credit. We also talked about how trusted advice is the ultimate competitive advantage, and really making sure that ensuring that our advice follows your presentation with multiple users, and we talked about how we can share the report with more than just one client. So you're going to see how when we deliver the report, we're going to be able to show you how whether wife's at work and husband is also at work, how we're able to communicate the message at the same time and really guide that experience. So once again, today in this session, we're going to continue that conversation. We're going to continue the conversation with making sure that we show you how to deliver the total cost analysis to your clients and partners. We're going to show you how to understand how to talk about the report. And then we're going to finish off with making sure that we introduce Edge Live for those of you guys who want to interact with your clients in the process. So that being said, I want to change over from the total cost analysis to the software. And for those of you guys joining on multiple screens and going to be joining online, I created a report already, and I want to make sure that as we go through these next courses and we start learning how to build out the report, I want to make sure you understand that the concept is still the same. You will be able to have your discovery questions within Edge based off of your conversation. You'll be able to show your clients the different types of products or scenarios that you want to create for your clients. And then you get to finish off with making sure there's benefit behind your loan, whether it be reinvestment strategies or any type of equity repositioning. Once you're done creating the report, you then get to go to your preview page and send it out to your client. And this is where we're going to start our conversation today. We're going to talk about how we're going to be able to email this link and interact with our clients. So first and foremost, I will bring your attention to how you're able to send out these reports. Keep in mind you're able to email this link, print this link out, or print the report out, or save it as a PDF. I will always recommend that you email the link. First and foremost, the reason why I suggest for you to email this link is because every time your client views the report, you will always be notified whenever the client views the report. And I'll show you what that looks like. The other reason why I suggest you email the link, I'll bring your attention back to the total cost analysis and bring your attention to the lower right-hand side of the report. By emailing this link, it gives you the functionality of being notified. But for your client could save, print, or share this anytime they'd like within the report. So that's one of the reasons why I highly recommend you email the link. I'll suggest making sure you provide a quote date, making sure if the client didn't, lock or reserve the appraisal, we know when we quoted this date. So it's really powerful to be able to do. Now, once you've created the report, remember in being able to email this link, we need to jump into the Generate Link button to be able to generate that link. and copy and paste that onto an email. So what I'm going to do is I want to make sure I connect some dots, making sure you see that I will copy this link. Once I've copied this link, I need to open up an email. Now, for this conversation, I went ahead and pre-populated an email, and I showed you how to either hyperlink or just click the link and make sure that it's clickable. And once you've done that and you've typed in your verbiage, you're able to email this to whoever you like. In this case, I'm going to send this to myself, and we're going to look at this from my email. I'm also going to put the link in the chat box for all of you guys that have multiple screens to be able to click on, and then I'm going to be able to introduce Edge Live with you guys. So as easy as that, I copied and pasted the links, and I went ahead and sent off to the client. Now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to cut and paste this link, and I am going to put this in the chat box. So for those of you guys who want to see Edge Live in just a second, I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste this on there, and it should be there for you on the GoToMeeting control panel. So the first thing I wanted to show you was how to email the link out. Now, whenever you want to interact with your client or even just look at the report just to see what you created, Edge Live is where you want to go. Now, Edge Live is the report, but allows you some more functionality. We'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to click on Edge Live to open up the report. Now, this is the report I just sent to you guys. As you can see, thank you very much. I have 6 of you guys that already clicked on the link. We'll talk about Edge Live in just a second. What I want to talk about first, before we get into the Edge Live, is how best to discuss the report. When we talk about discussing the report, I like to use the Z formation to be able to best illustrate the best way to communicate this report. And so when you look at that Z formation, you should see that we're going to talk about the loan summary first, and then we get to recap with the short term, the midterm, and finish off with the long-term options, allowing them to see an overview of both products, or remember, you can show up to 4 products, side by side with an overview and short and long-term impacts as well. So as we talk about that report, let me go ahead and move this aside. You should see that in this case, we are going to show an FHA versus a conventional 5% down. So you can see that when you talk about the report and you use that Z formation, it's a little comfortable knowing that it's what you're used to already talking about. Mr. and Mrs. Client, today we're going to cover an FHA and conventional product. These are the financial options that we discussed. Remember, we're going to cover loan amount, interest rate, and payments. We'll also cover what the closing costs will be. And by the way, for those of you guys that clicked on the link, you should see that whenever I highlight, it's highlighting for you as well. We get to continue talking about the More Information tab, making sure that we package the advice precise and efficiently. We could break it up and show them, Mr. Client, this is your principal interest. We'll show you your taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance. With a grand total, we could break it off and continue on with talking about closing cost, making sure they know that we could either bulk up these fees, or if you take time and create your fee templates, you could then distinguish the difference between your fees and third-party fees. And once you're done talking about fees, you get to jump into any type of reinvestment strategies, whether it be paying additional dollar amounts to their mortgage and what that would do to the 30-year term, or whether they want to just invest with maybe a savings account or maybe a little bit more aggressive with an IRA or financial planner conversation. So as you get to talk about the overview of your products, once you're done with the summary section, you get to recap. And by recapping, you could show them the difference of the immediate impact. So the difference in FHA versus the conventional is a difference of $130. But then when you start getting into the bread and the bolts of everything, you get to show them what savings over 60 months brings to you. And so you should see the comparison, the side-by-side comparison of the short-term impact. And you see that there's a net savings of nearly $10,000. I want to make sure, bring to your attention that when we talk about net savings, we're talking about the non-recoverable costs. So I'm going to take a quick second and open up the More Information tab and talk about that for just a quick second. Obviously, the client is paying principal back into themselves, and that's in the form of equity, right? But what we talk about net savings, we don't talk about the principal they're paying back into themselves. We talk about the non-recoverable costs, what they will never recover. And what the client will never recover is the amount of interest and MI they paid over time, as well as closing cost. You should see that in this case we're showing a tax benefit. So it's going to take the interest and MI paid, subtracting the MI, and adding the closing costs. You should see that it comes up with the balance, shows you which one is paying less in interest and MI and closing costs together. So when you look at this report, I want to make sure that I connect some dots and emphasize that when you see net savings, we are talking about the non-recoverable cost. Okay? So once we've talked about the non-recoverable cost, and by the way, I'm going to take a quick second making sure if any of you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to put it in the chat box. I will make sure. I saw a question come in, so I just wanted to make sure that if you have any questions whatsoever, you chime in. I'll be able to answer them as we go through this. So yes, we will be recording this session, and we will be placing it in our help section and sending this out to you guys as well. So continuing on, I want to make sure that now that we talked about the short-term savings and we talked about the non-recoverable cost, we then get to finish off with the long-term perspective and show them how much interest and MI we're paying over time. So in this case, you could see that the difference in MI and interest you're paying throughout the next 15 years. So when you look at having that conversation, you should see a quick overview when we talk about that Z formation once again is, hey, let's talk about the summary. Let's talk about the bulk of what we talked about, and then let's break up, showing you the immediate impact, short-term impact, and long-term impact. And so I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about how best to talk about the report. Now, I want to really talk about how you get to interact with your clients. And being able to interact with your client at any moment, for those of you guys who have seen me open up pages and highlights, you kind of get what I'm talking about. But for those of you guys who didn't get the chance to click on the link and want to see the power of Edge and Edge Live, this is my iPhone. And so what I want to do is I want to show you how your client gets to interact with you and show your financial options. So what I did right now is I'm going to click on the report, and let me bring up my reflector again because I think it X'd out of me. So let me bring up reflector so you guys could see that. I want to bring that to you guys' attention here. Let me go into my reflector, and by clicking on the report, okay, let's try that again. You should see my phone come up right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into that email. And I'm going to click on that email and show you the client can view our report from either a desktop or our mobile app. So I want to take a second and introduce our mobile app and show you how interactive our site is. So we will cover adding an audio video in our next session. Stay tuned for that. But what I wanted to show you is a few things here. So as you can see here, I get to now show you Edge Live and how to interact with your clients. And I want to make sure that when you're in the Edge Live software, as long as you intentionally click and highlight on your end, you should see, for those of you guys who have the other screen open, you should see that not only did my screen on my desktop, or should I say your screen on your desktop open up, but so did my mobile app. Whether I wanted to talk about my principal and interest, or whether I wanted to talk about reinvestment strategies, I'm able to dictate that conversation, highlight, and pinpoint exactly where I'm talking and what I'm talking about. So for those of you guys who had the chance to click on the link from the chat box, you should see that as your desktop is moving, so is my phone. So in communicating your advice, as long as you stick with your Z formation and communicating it, you should see that when you click on anything, it will open up that specific section. Even if I wanted to break into that short-term section and show you the graphs, you should see that it allows me to do that at any time. So as we show you that Edge Live, let me talk about the report. I'm going to just move the phone over to the side just for a second. And I want to bring your attention to the upper left-hand side of the screen. And for those of you guys who want to use Edge Live at the same time, you should see that I have two tabs open. And I really want to connect the dots right there because that's going to be where you're going to be able to maneuver back and forth in the report and Edge Live. So when you see when I click on the software, remember that the software is where it's going to allow me to create the report or make any changes as we go through. Edge Live is where it's going to allow me to see what I created and interact with my client, which means it will allow me to highlight and open up different pages. Now, to show you that quick example on how best or how I can use this, I'm going to show you an example of, let's just say the client chose this FHA 3.5% down. Let's just say that it's a 30-year fix, and the client says that he wants to pay an additional $100 a month. What would that do to the 30-year term? So I quickly bring your attention to that short term and show you that right now, based off of the loan amounts, they're paying $10,000 or having a net savings of $10,000. And so the reason why I point that out is because when you go into the software and go into your reinvestment strategy grid, you're able to quickly add that extra $100 payment a month. By adding that extra $100 a month, you make sure you hit OK. You make sure you update the system. Remember, these are your refresh keys telling the system that something new happened, and you wait until you see that 30-year change to whatever it's going to be. So in this case, it's 27 years. I can highlight that additional payment. So remember, for those of you guys who have not used Edge Live before, Edge Live will allow you to highlight, open up pages, and make additional changes for your client. So in this case, you could see that by adding an extra $100 a month, they'll cut 3 years off their loan. You'll see that their short-term savings is now quite higher, making sure that it calculates that extra $100 payment. So the system will definitely calculate this and go and make those changes on the go for you. So as we wrap up the call, I want to make sure that for those of you guys who have any questions, I reiterate, just make sure you chime in on the chat box. Edge Live is very easy to use. Let's see here. I see. So just keep in mind, read this. Let me see here. When you're talking about creating the report, remember the best way to think about the 8-step wizard is staying within the flow of natural conversation. So remember, the first 4 tabs are really discovery questions, allowing you to understand whether the client qualifies for a loan. Once we determine that the client qualifies, we then are going to show the different types of loan options or products we have for those clients. And then we get to finish off with the overview or the summary section. And this is just a side-by-side comparison, allowing you to compare the products side by side and adding any reinvestment strategies. Once you've created your products, the presentation page or the preview page is where you get to send it out. Okay, so just really recapping, because it looks like a few of you guys missed that beginning portion of the conversation. Just wanted to recap how you create the total cost analysis and then where you get to generate that link. And that generate link is within that generate link section. You're able to copy and paste this, send it out to the client, and when the client's on, you get to interact with Edge Live. Okay. Now, I see that someone exit out of the report, so I want to bring to your attention that every single time your client views the report and they exit out of the report, you as a loan officer will always be notified whenever the client viewed the report. This is great because it allows you to strike when the iron's hot, making sure that it's fresh on their mind. Let me reach out and touch base. So for those of you guys who did not know, yes, you do get notified every single time the client views the report. As you can see, I see a few of you guys starting to exit out of the report. And so, you know, as we wrap up the call, I really want to make sure I point out we're really here to build success together, and really quick, making sure continue delivering your conversations with your total cost analysis to your clients and partners, and take time to understand how to best read the report. You'll see that Z formation will really help out in communicating your advice. And finally, take time to use Edge Live. Have an accountability partner, have a coworker that you can just email across from you and say, hey, check this out. Look how I can highlight. Look how I open it. If I were to communicate this, does this make sense? And use that Z formation to talk about that. So for those of you guys who want to try that and create a report, if you have any questions, support@mortgagecoach.com is a great way to communicate any questions, and we will definitely get back to you. For our next session, I want to make sure that you're prepared for next session. It's a great session. Next session, we're going to talk about the power of video and professional emails. So this is where we're going to get to chime in and talk about how we're able to add an audio video to the presentation and really narrate the presentation and provide a face-to-face, or better yet, a belly-to-belly experience. So until our next session, really want to say thank you very much for joining me today. Until the next time, have a great one.